start by marking a starting line, and after that I'm going to minus our half length measurement and mark the skate part of this dress plus half inch for sewing allowance. Then I'll connect the line. I'm going to mark our hip point, which is 6 inch, and I'll extend the line. I divided our waist circumference by 4 plus 1 inch for that and plus 1.5 inch for stitching allowance. I'm also dividing her hip circumference by 4. I'm going to leave 1.5 inch for zip. So I'm cutting it out. At the hip point I mark 1.5 inch. At the new line I mark 1 inch. At the waist point I mark 1 inch. I'm connecting it together. I notch where my zip. I mark my zip point in short. I notch my zip point. I'm putting it aside. I'm about to cut the ruffle now, so I fold this fabric lengthwise so that it will be easy for me to cut, because I'm cutting 2 pieces. I mark 8 inch including the stitching allowance. Then I'll connect the point, and after that I'm going to cut it out. After cutting, I'm going to use that to cut another piece. In total I will have 2 pieces. I'll also put it aside. Now I will cut my upper pan now. Then I fold my fabric into 4. I'm cutting the front and the back together, so my folding will be into 4. I mark the zip point, and I also mark my starting point. I mark the waist point plus 1 inch for sewing allowance, and I extend those lines. I'm going to mark a bust point. After then I'm going up from that bust point 2 inch, and that will be our chest line. I divide our shoulder measurement by 2. I mark it. I also repeat the same at the chest line, and I will connect it with a straight line. I come down by 1 inch and slope my shoulder. I mark the depth of the neck and the width of the neck, and I connect those points together. I mark both the front and the back. I add half inch for stitching allowance at that shoulder measurement. I find the midpoint of the armhole and mark. From there I'm going to go in by 1/2 inch and connect it. That will be my front armhole. For the back, from that midpoint I'm going to connect it back to the chest line, and that will be for the back armhole. I divide about circumference by 4 plus 1/2 inch for sewing allowance. I will also repeat the same at the waist point. For the waist I'm going to add 1 inch for that plus 1/2 inch for stitching allowance. So I will connect those points and I'm cutting it out. That is for the back. For the front, I rest only my front piece and trim off the front neckline. I'm also going to trim off my front armhole only for the front piece, not the back piece. Yeah, I'm trimming it off. That is to remove any excess at the armhole region. I go up at the zip region by 1 inch and I will blend it. Sorry, I make it 1/2 inch. I will blend it back to the I also go up at the side seam by 1/2 inch. That is to remove any excess at the side seam. I'm about to mark the sleeve now, so I mark 4 inch, which is the sleeve. Sorry, it's 3 inch. I divide armhole by 2 and I'm making a slanted S, as you can see. I mark the length of my sleeve plus 1 inch for sewing allowance. So I input sleeve circumference by 2 and I'm cutting it out. I notch the midpoint of my sleeve, so because it's going to be a cap sleeve, I'm marking 2 inch, 2 at the width and 2 at the depth. Please mark 3 at the width of your sleeve because I later trim it off. You will also see in this video. I was not satisfied with this, so I mark 1 inch again and reshape it out. That's why I said mark 3. This is perfect. I repeat the same for the other one too. Trimming it off. Yeah, I'm going to bend the hem of my sleeve like that. I'm marking my dart point at my upper part so that I will hold my dart Yeah, I use my front piece to cut the facing because I'm going to make use of the facing. I'm cutting it out. After that, I'm going to cut the back facing too. It's very simple. I place my facing right side facing. Yeah, that is how I will stitch. This is the back facing I'm cutting now. Right side facing, I will stitch by ½ inch, and after stitching I'm going to notch it. Like as you can see, I've notched it and notch it. Then I will flip it to the facing side and top stitch. That is what I just showed. I'm going to hold my dart and I've stitched down my zip region. Yeah, at that upside I make it a loose stitch because I'm going to loosen it again. I've joined my upper part to my skate part. I keep it aside. Also join the back side, the upper of the back and the skate part of the back. See my zip, I've attached my zip. Make use of rainbow zip, so I'm putting that aside. I iron down my sleeve the way I want to, so that it will be easy for me to stitch it down. So I'm going to place my front and the back right side facing and join it at that shoulder point. Like this. I use the facing for the back and cover it up. I'm going to stitch by ½ inch. That will make the shoulder to come out very neat. See it here, this is the front. They are very neat, and the back too will be very neat. I've aimed it down of my sleeve, as you see, and this is the back, very neat. So I'm going to join the side seam by 1½ inch. Remember we added 1½ inch for stitching allowance. So I'm going to join. I'm done joining. Now is the time to work on the ruffle. So I trim off that label line off. I'm going to join that part by ½ inch and also aim the down of my ruffle, so that I will have one long piece like this. So I'm going to run a gather stitch on it and attach it to my dress like this. It's very simple. Thank you so much for watching, because I'm almost done with this dress. It's just to close the back of this dress and attach a sleeve. My god, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe, because this is the only way you can support my video. Yeah, so this is what I'm doing. I'm working on the sleeve now. Believe me, after this sleeve we are done. I'm going to close my sleeve by 1½ inch. Yeah, After closing, I have something looking like this. I'm going to attach it side by side, making sure the side of my sleeve matches with the side of the dress. I'm going to stitch it down. After stitching, I'm going to pipe that shoulder, the shoulder at my dress hand, that shoulder. I'm going to pipe it, that upper part, I'm going to pipe it down. After this, guys, we are done with this dress and it came out very beautiful. Thank you for watching.